There's that feeling when you get to the end of a several-hour play session where you've been recording video for a walkthrough or playthrough of whatever game. Let's say it's a hidden object puzzle game that is totally unfun to watch and can only be saved by witty repartee and commentary. When you get to the end of the video and you decide to take a break and you hit the stop recording button and you look up and you realize it's not saving the video because you weren't recording for all that time, those moments are they really make you feel bad. And it's, I guess, kind of indicative of the week that I've had. As I mentioned, I lost a hard drive that had almost all of my writing on it because I'm too paranoid to actually trust stuff to the internet for whatever reason. So I had to replace that. And this weekend I discovered why my hard drive crashed. It's because the memory controller on my motherboard died, causing the memory to get corrupted, which I assume caused the hard drive to crap out. So I had to replace my motherboard. I ordered one on Friday after some hardware swapping and testing, and unfortunately it was just the motherboard, because if it had been the memory, that would have been really, really expensive to replace. If it had been the processor, I probably just wouldn't have a computer right now. Saturday I had to go get the money order to pay my rent. Somehow, on my way back from getting my rent money order, I lost my rent. And that really sucked. So, I mean, I did get my rent paid because I had a little bit of money saved. So that's just really kind of the cascade of events that have been going on, and culminating it just with 2 hours of not recording is really very frustrating. And it's oftentimes for people with chronic depression, these little things that just add up and add up and add up, that it really makes you question, why bother? And for someone on the outside looking in, the most reasonable response would be, well, just play it again or redo it or do something else. But it's not that simple. So as, I guess, part of disclosure, and with this vlog, I know I don't really vlog much, and I haven't in the last couple of years that I've been doing YouTube things. I have schizoaffective disorder, which is a fancy way of saying I have really fucking depressed and I hear voices all the time. I have some other things going on, but those are the two that dominate my state of mind. Dealing with these things really takes most of what brain power I have nowadays. And it's very frustrating for me to hear people say things like, can't you just get over that? Or have you tried being happy? Or any of these other things that just make it obvious that you have no concept of what's going on. There is and has been a stigma around mental illness since always. And that's okay. I get it. People with mental illness are weird. Normal people are weird too. And normal people are especially weird to people like me. Where I sit and wonder to myself, it's like, how can you be so elated by all these trivial things that happen when there's all this other shit weighing down on you? And how do you deal with not hearing the voices of everyone around you? And this is kind of odd for me because I have a friend at whose house, and I use the word friend because that's what society says I'm supposed to use. I don't know that I'd actually consider them a friend. But her house is always incredibly noisy with people talking and the TV going and just all this constant noise around her. And I'm like, how can you cope with all that noise? And she says, I don't even notice it. I, on the other hand, because of what I deal with, I notice it all the time. And there are medications that could be taken for this, certainly for depression. I was on Prozac for a while, about 7 years ago, And I remember that it was the first time I had not been depressed, when I had not been miserable, and I couldn't tell how long. And it was okay for a while, until I realized that one of the side effects of the Prozac was that it made all of my psychoses worse. It's more like psychotic events where I have a hard time determining between fantasy and reality. Prozac fixed the depression and made me lose track of what was actually really going on versus what was just going on in my head. And you know, maybe that's why the Prozac worked, because I didn't know what was going on around me. I just had the constant influx of extra things being generated by my brain. I don't take Prozac anymore because I do walk that fine line between having a grasp on reality and not being depressed. And in general, I just kind of deal with the depression so that I don't have to deal with the schizophrenia. I'm on a much milder antidepressant now, and it's enough to let me be able to get out of bed, and some days that's about it.
You earned the money. Now spend it.
I play a lot of video games because it's an external thing that I can focus on to block things out. You know, I record them, try to have commentary, and, you know, if the hobby were to ever pay for itself, that would be fucking awesome. And I would be really happy. Happy, of course, being relative. Going back to with people not getting it. Boogie2988 put out a video, I think 2-3 days ago, entitled "The Truth Behind Why I'm Fat."
Last chance.
And
Power down the pod.
pun intended, it's a really heavy video
All Zeds on the scope.
because he puts himself out there, and he's got a lot of stuff to put out there, from talking about his history of familial abuse, to his depression, to his obesity, to all these kinds of things. And that's some brave shit right there. One of the things that he talks about is you know, the quote unquote, we deserve the truth to know where he's at and what's going on, and I don't know that I agree with that. We don't deserve the truth. You know, if when people allow you into their lives, there is no entitlement to that beyond what they're willing to give you. But for Boogie to do this, it's really awesome. I don't think he's failed us, or however he phrased it. He talked a lot about how he is dealing with having effectively only lost like 20 pounds in the last, 5 years, because he re-injured himself through his exercise, and there's all these myriad medical conditions that make it very difficult for him to be able to do anything towards losing his weight. And he's also got, I think he called it obsessive compulsive eating disorder. He talks about how he tries so hard to not eat, but he sabotages himself, and he fails, and sometimes he succeeds for a day or two, and it's just a constant back and forth. And in listening to him, I realize that I can hear what a lot of people might be saying. It's like, well, dude, you know, just don't fucking eat. I mean, calories in versus calories out, right? The lack of willpower, or how he tries and he fails. It's not as easy as some people might think. When he talks about how he tries to not eat, but he does anyway. I get it. I absolutely do. because I know how it is when I try to do a thing and I can't. When I can, think, oh, I need to do something. I need, I need to write. I need to make something to eat. I need to play guitar. All things just, strictly speaking, I don't need to do. But that I should do because most of what I do lately is most of what I do for the last several years isn't really living. It's just kind of almost existing. Maybe not even that. And I know I hear it because, I say it to myself. Or strictly speaking, I hear the voices say it to me. It's like, well, just fucking do it. Just do it. I mean, but you can't. It's not even so much that you can't as even that you won't. Because there's some thing going on in your head that won't allow it. Because, strictly speaking, Boogie could stop eating, but he won't. Because there's something going on that stops him from stopping eating. And working through that and getting around that is something that people who do not have compulsive disorders or depression or all these other things, I don't think they can ever get. There's a guy whose G Plus account I follow and read occasionally. He posted a link to some to depression comics, which I'd never heard before. And he culled out a few and said, it's like, these are like really, he culled out a few and pointed them out saying, these are some, comics that I really identified with right now. And so I started reading it and it's like, wow, yeah. I was really bothered by one of the replies to his post, where this chick said that, she's had depression and the way that she got through that sadness was by borrowing hope from other people. And that's the type of attitude that just really screams, I cannot empathize with you. I don't understand what's going on with you. Because for someone with depression, there is no hope. You can't take that from them or share in it. And a lot of times in people with depression, you wouldn't do it because you wouldn't want to drag them down with you. It might be thought that people with depression are very antisocial. And no, it's not that. We're very social and we're very socially aware. We simply don't want to drag others down into the pit with us. And the people who don't know what that's like don't seem to be able to even conceive of it. In that, that's really kind of depressing.